OpenAI buying the AI device startup co-founded by Apple veteran Jony Ive. It's a $6.5 billion all-stock deal, and so basically joins forces with the legendary designer to make a push into hardware. We got to get to what we need to know about this. Co-host of Bloomberg Technology, Ed Ludlow, is all over it. He joins us from our San Francisco bureau. All right, Ed, we were kind of like when it crossed, we were like, okay, this feels like a big deal. Is it a big deal, and what does it do for these two companies? What does it do for OpenAI?
Big deal, surprise. I don't know that it's that much of a surprise. You know, there's been whispers throughout Silicon Valley. Big deal because it is OpenAI's biggest deal, biggest acquisition, $6.5 billion. But it's OpenAI, which is the leader in AI development, literally the development of large language models, but also consumer and enterprise facing services, kind of muscling into the devices game. So they are pledging to have AI-enabled devices by 2026. What they are acquiring is not just a company or IP, it's this relationship with Jony Ive, right? The former legendary Apple designer who is responsible for iPod, iPad, AirPods, Apple Watch. And he's left Apple in 2019. And this answers a big question of like what he's doing next.
Right. I think, I mean, look, anything that from Apple that we basically put in our pockets in recent history has the stamp of Jony Ive on it. But what has he done since 2019? I actually don't understand what OpenAI is buying here.
Yeah.
Is it a team, Ed? Is it a team of designers and engineers?
It's not. It is not an exaggeration or unfair to say that it's almost like an acqui-hire, right? Yeah. So Jony Ive's basically been running this group or this agency or this firm called Love From. Let's call it a design agency or design firm. And with him at that group are many former Apple designers. And those people will be a part of this OpenAI initiative. We note in the Bloomberg story reported by Mark Gurman and Shireen Ghaffari that the model here is that there will be some independence. It will kind of be a standalone independent unit of OpenAI where Jony Ive has independence. But to go back to the root of your original question, you know, when Jony Ive left Apple in 2019, the reporting and the suggestion from Apple CEO Tim Cook was that they would sort of continue to collaborate. So even though Jony Ive was not an employee of Apple, he'd almost be like a consultant. Remember, this is the guy that Steve Jobs once kind of like labeled his spiritual partner. You know, that's how closely aligned Jony Ive was to the history of Apple. But, you know, the OpenAI side of this fascinates me because like this is a company that bites off a lot. Is it more than it can chew? Well, this is a big news story.
Yeah, but isn't that what tech and innovation and disruption is all about, right? I mean, AI. Hey, in the story, though, Ed, it says OpenAI is going to create a product at a level of quality that, quote, has never happened before in consumer hardware. That's coming from Sam Altman. What might an AI-powered device be out of this duo or this collaboration?
Well, so there's 2 points here. You're getting at, is this going to be something very fancy and very expensive? I think they clearly are like orienting this towards the high end of whatever device or wearables market there is. The form factor, we're told it is a range of devices. Is this a smartphone? Is it a wearable?
Right.
Don't know. The cautionary tale is like in the modern era, AI devices outside of the smartphone format. You probably talked about at one time the Humane AI pin, which was like a very chunky brooch with a camera on it, and that project did not go well at all. So I'm just really curious about the form factor. I largely interact with ChatGPT. I'm a big ChatGPT subscriber. I pay for it myself, $4.0, but I use it principally on my smartphone, which is an iPhone. So I don't know, but I think the idea is that the AI side of this, the software side, that leverages OpenAI's competences.
Ed, before we let you go, we got to talk about the Apple portion of this. Apple shares are down about 1.8%. The entire market is lower, I should note, but they did take a leg lower when this was announced. We can't speak about this without speaking about the challenges that Apple has had when it comes to AI. Certainly they are a partner with OpenAI. Mark Gurman was on our air earlier this week sharing his big take about where they really went wrong. What does this mean for Apple, for Jony Ive to go join an AI company that is really distinct from where he really made his mark?
Right. Mr. Tim Stenovic, I'm going to be very careful to draw a causal relationship between the report that was published and the movement in Apple's stock. Although this is both a visual and audio medium, if you bring up the ticker or the tape of the session at 12:59 Eastern Time, Apple's stock clearly takes a very large leg lower when this story was published. You know, and I think that answers Carol's earlier question of the kind of marketplace that they want to operate in. You know, Apple has not cracked the software side. Great at hardware iPhones, but it's actually on the generative AI tool that they've been poor, and we've been over that. So that's why there's competition here.